Hey dudes and dudettes, Mr. Theorist here and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. I'm back again with Stacey.
Hello.
And this is episode 3 called Rosa of season 11. And if you by now, you should know how these videos go. I'll give you a vague explanation of the plot and then ask Stacey how she liked the episode. I'll let you know how I liked the episode and then we'll break down little things that we might have picked up on. Maybe how we felt about each character for the episode, and then at the end we'll give it a rating. So yeah, I'll give you an idea of the plot and then we'll ask Stacey what she thought. If you watched the latest episode, I hope you have if you're watching this video, this one is a very slow-paced but very well done episode. Based in 1955?
Yeah.
1955. I'm not great with this part of history, really not. History's not a strong suit for me. And it is based on the event of, what's her name?
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat for a white person, man or woman, I don't know who, which led to her arrest, which then led to the boycotting of the bus stops, which stopped segregation on buses of white and dark-skinned people. Because yeah, at some point in history people thought that was a thing we should do. Yay. This episode starts off with the Doctor and co are trying to get back home from the previous episode, but the Doctor being the Doctor and the TARDIS being the TARDIS, they don't quite get it right, and instead of ending up in Sheffield modern day, they end up in America in, what's the city? Do you know the name of the city?
Alabama.
Alabama in 1955 during the event of Rosa Parks. They then find out that there's this other time traveller who you're not quite sure what he's up to, but you later find out that he's got kind of a racist ambition about himself, where he thinks that mankind went in the wrong direction at some point in history and Rosa Parks is the beginning of it. Essentially, he doesn't like the fact that people of a dark skin got equal rights, and he thinks that by stopping Rosa Parks's stand up on the bus, that he will eventually stop that and the whites will stay in control. Yeek, Doctor Who! But we'll discuss that in a bit. But obviously, the Doctor and co managed to stop his plan. I won't even attempt to say that word in the future. And they managed to help Rosa Parks' event happen, which leads to her arrest still, but it has to happen, so the boycotting happens, and so segregation eventually stops. But they find out that not only do they help this event make sure it happens, but they are actually a part of it. And there's this really beautiful moment where the granddad, if you've watched Doctor Who so far, because his wife is someone of dark skin, he's upset that he has to be here and he has to be part of this event, which leads to her arrest, and that touched me. That was. But anyway, I'll talk to that more when I have my part of this discussion. And that's kind of how this episode goes. Stacey, what did you think of the episode?
I think it was a really good episode. It was well written. Mallory Blackman helped write this episode, and she is the author of Noughts and Crosses, a good trilogy of books, actually more than trilogy now, and it's about, the books were about racism, and I felt awkward at times because of the time period and the racism. It just made me feel uncomfortable. But it was dealt with very well, and showing how the characters responded to it, because obviously these are modern characters, they're used to some racism, but having to deal with how it was back then in a southern state where segregation was a thing. Yeah, you can understand why the Doctor doesn't travel there very often. The Doctor was a bit powerless because obviously, though she could see that it was wrong, it's history and she can't change it. And obviously Rosa Parks is a very significant event in history, and it's good that Doctor Who covered it. The enemy, the time traveller, not much attention was focused on him apart from the fact he was a time traveller and he was racist. I like the fact that the Doctor didn't pay much attention to him, and it was Ryan who actually dealt with him at the end, though there could be some consequences of that. And yeah, it was a good character development for all of the characters this episode, I think.
I don't know much more I don't know. I was going to make sure we talked about the how do you say the author's name?
Mallory Blackman.
Mallory Blackman, because I recently read a manga version, because I don't read books. I don't do books. I do books, but I prefer comics. Comics are better. I read the first comic of Noughts Crosses, and it's slight segue for now. Mallory?
Yes.
Mallory Blackman's books are based in kind of like a parallel universe kind of thing, where racism is turned upside down, where instead of it is the people of dark skin who are oppressed, it is the whites who are oppressed. And you read it and it's like, wow, like it's very strong, well done books, but not going to go into that. This episode, for someone like me, I grew up never understanding racism, and what I mean by that is I don't get it. Racism, sexism, like prejudice in general, I can't understand it. It puzzles me that you can just have a different mindset or want to treat someone differently because of them being a different person and a different gender, it confuses me. So watching this, I was angry at times, and I felt uncomfortable watching this episode just because it's something I don't get, and it hurts the fact that this was ever a part of our history, ever. But Doctor Who does it well, because Doctor Who, well, New Who definitely, when it deals with these historical and political events like this, it does them so well at times. Sometimes it can be a little too in your face, but it was just treated as, this is just an event, they are going to happen to be in at that point. But because it's Doctor Who, we have to add a time travel element. But instead of it being like really crazy, oh, the aliens are going to use this to take over the Earth. No, it's just a space Nazi decides he wants to make it so whites stay in control and dark-skinned people are always oppressed. Okay, and yeah, as Stacey said, they don't focus on him much. He's there, always in the background. He's trying to push history one way, where they're countering his effects. And then yeah, Ryan at the end just basically goes, yeah, I've had enough of you, don't like you. It's like, what are you gonna do? This. And he uses the villain's displacement gun and sends him into the past somewhere, which we may have ramifications for, we may not. But the end bit, where the end of the episode, it ends with Rosa Parks' arrest, and I was in tears because it was just so heartfelt, but at the same time just awful that this event had to happen for things to move forward. Just yeah, it's a yeah. So we spoke a little bit about the villain, how yeah, he was in it, he was necessary kind of, but yeah, it was more about Rosa Parks' story, wasn't it?
And also the racism of the society. Yeah. There wasn't much focus on science fiction at all.
Apart from the fact,
travel.
yeah, apart from it was. Do you remember when we were watching it and I turned around because it said GBI on his suitcase, you know, it had all his weapons, and I was like, Gallifrey, Detective, no, Gallifrey, something another, and I was determined to fix that this guy was Gallifreyan, and it was just like, and then when they found out it was a race, I was like, no, he's not Gallifreyan, he's not Gallifreyan. So yeah, the villain was okay. You said character development, you really liked it. Was there any of the 4 characters, the Doctor included, which of them stood out the most to you in this episode?
Graham and Ryan. Graham because he's dealing with the loss of his partner, who was Rosa Parks was a hero to her. Well, to be fair, Rosa Parks is a hero to all of the characters in this episode, and the fact he was forced at the end to watch it and not do anything, that was hard because of the fact he couldn't help her because that would have ruined changed history. And Ryan, he had to hold in his anger a lot because he was just hit for trying to help a woman.
Yeah, right at the beginning of the episode, he goes to pick up a white woman's handkerchief to hand to her, and her husband slaps him. "You do not touch a white woman." And it's like, okay. That was like 5 minutes into the episode. It's like, okay, this is how far we're being shown what the times was like back then. Alrighty then.
I was going to finish one.
Oh, sorry.
The Doctor was forced to guard history in this one, actually keeping to the rules, not bending them.
Yes.
Which was interesting. I enjoyed it.
I don't know that I like that. I like the fact that the Doctor had to almost take a step back, but this is Doctor's show to some degree, and there are times when you have assistants that basically have a whole episodes of adventures on their own. But this is just going through my mind as you're talking about is, I think almost to a degree the Doctor was kind of underused in this episode a little bit, and I felt almost like she was more relying on the assistants in this episode. Like, there's been times where the Doctor's been unable to interact because of being trapped in the TARDIS or this or that. So someone like Clara had to be the Doctor's eyes and ears, or Billy had to when the Doctor lost his eyesight. But this was more like the Doctor was heavily relying on the assistants for the episode, which was good because it gave them something to do. But at the same time, I think it almost depowered the Doctor, I think, a little bit for the episode.
Yeah, she didn't want to be there. She was only there because she had to be, because she didn't want the history to change.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's an area, one of those few times in history that it can't change. Like Pompeii.
Well, yeah, but Pompeii, they did screw with in the end, though.
They saved a family.
They still screwed with Pompeii a little bit. I don't know. It's a little feeling I got where it just feels like the Doctor might have been a little underused this episode. This is called Doctor Who, and for once in a not heavy Doctor episode, I kind of felt the Doctor was kind of underused a bit.
I was glad that it wasn't the idea of not standing up for another passenger was It was Rose's idea. It was not put into her head at
that
any
was
point.
something I thought they might end up doing, which I think might have made a few people go, hey. But yeah, it was nice that they were trying their best not to say things that could edge her.
Yeah.
Because it had to be Rose's idea to do this.
So I did enjoy the bit where Ryan was in a room with Rosa Parks and
Martin Luther King, and it was just like he kind of smiled like he met two of his biggest idols. It was like, oh, that was sweet. I think, one thing I missed from last week, it's kind of random, but I was meant to talk about last week, the intro to Doctor Who. I was meant to discuss it last week and I didn't. I love it. I just absolutely love the intro to Doctor Who. It's very old Who.
I like it.
And kind of... No, it's just old Who-ish. It's really beautifully old Who. It's like my love for the TARDIS. The TARDIS is just... Oh, I love the TARDIS. I think it looks great. I think... But it's got some new Who elements to it. But it's cool and old Who, and that's its tangentness from what we're discussing here, which is the awesome Rosa episode. And that's what we thought, guys. I loved it. I was emotional. I did cry a little bit. I don't usually cry during Who, but I cried during this. It was beautiful.
Out of 10?
Out of 10? Oh, this is a solid 8. This is a solid 8 out of 10. Because the storytelling, even though it's basically using a historical event for its story, it was done beautifully. And I have to admit, I know vaguely about this event, but the details of Rosa's name, of exactly what the event was. I know of an event that led to something, but I didn't know what this was. So learning Rosa Parks' name, learning that it was a bus she didn't give her seat up for.
I knew that. I knew
and knowing the exact time period. As I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not good at history. For me, it was kind of like a nice history lesson episode, but it was done in a really fun, entertaining, who knew who way. Solid 8 out of 10 for me. What about you?
I agree. I think 8 out of 10. I would have liked more sci-fi, but then again that could have interfered with the story. And it was a very well written story. And it is good that it's teaching about Rosa Parks and everything.
Yeah.
I knew about Rosa Parks, but not in that much detail. Like I didn't know the year, the place, or the name of the bus driver. So, yeah.
Just before we finish this video though, do you think this episode was definitely in reaction to, I know this is kind of going in a bit of a political way and people might go a bit about it, but a very much like kind of pushing because of how things have got bad in America at the moment? Do you think that might be why they've done it for this season of Doctor Who? They've done an episode that reminds people, look, like we have progressed since 1950s and now we've made progression, why we suddenly stopped, kind of thing. Do you think that might be why they've done this kind of episode now?
Possibly. Doctor Who does like to respond to political events.
Yeah, just a little thought at the end of the video. Anyway guys, so solid 8 out of 10 from both of us. We both actually have the same rating this time. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit that like button. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode. I really want to know. Give me your ratings. How much did you like this episode? Maybe you didn't like it so much because it needed a bit more sci-fi. And if you would guys, please subscribe to this channel. And if you're already a subscriber, bring a friend along and have them subscribe too. Until next video guys, I will catch you later. And so is Stacey.
Hey.
Bye!